that in every nation, the one who fears him and does what is right is acceptable to him. Now, you could get tripped up by this verbiage, I think, because you might want to ask Peter, hey, Pete, what is it that is right and acceptable? Are you talking about a certain amount of obedience? I mean, am I supposed to help the lady across the street and give $1 million and, keep the law? And I mean, is that what you mean by fearing God and doing what is right and acceptable to God? Is that what you mean? Well, as you get the bird's eye view, you back up, right? We figure out that doing what is right is believing in the message the apostles are bringing. I mean, show me the works of the Father so that I may do them. And Jesus says the work of the Father is that you believe. And what is right and what is acceptable here to God is to hear the message of Jesus Christ and respond to it. And you can't even do anything that's right until you've done what is right. Believing in Jesus is the door to rightness. Believing in Jesus Christ is the gate to experiencing the fruit of the Spirit. But there's no fruit outside of the Spirit. The fruit of the Spirit without the Spirit is no fruit at all. And so we receive the Spirit and then we bear the fruit of the Spirit. We don't produce the fruit of the Spirit, we bear the fruit of the Spirit. Do you hear that? So there's no bearing of the fruit without the Spirit. And so when the apostles talk about doing what is right and acceptable, and Paul even talks about obeying the gospel and the obedience of faith, that 2,000 years later, we could misinterpret that because we've had 2,000 years of funny business. I just mentioned one group, right? One movement that clouded things with Peter and Mary, and then we've got other groups. I mean, we're all guilty as humanity of twisting the gospel and distorting the message. And because of all that funny business, you might call it, for 2,000 years, we read a passage about doing what is right and doing what is acceptable to God, and we immediately think of doing all kinds of great works. But what really pleases God, the Scripture says, without faith, it is impossible to please God. The Scripture says, whoever calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. You want to know what is right? Call on the Lord. You want to know what is right? Open the door of your life. You want to know what is right? You hear the gospel and believe it. That's the obedience of faith, Paul says. It's weird because it's obedience, but it's faith. But it's obedience, but it's faith. And believing is obedience. Do you see that? It used to be under the law, you say obedience, and I immediately think of 600 things I need to do. But under grace, you say obedience, and I think believe. You say obedience, and I think faith. You say obedience, and I think dependency. Because that's where obedience comes from. Do you see that?